A term of office is the length of time a person serves in a particular elected office. In many jurisdictions there is a defined limit on how long terms of office may be before the office holder must be subject to re-election. Some jurisdictions exercise term limits, setting a maximum number of terms an individual may hold in a particular office. Being the origin of the Westminster system, aspects of the United Kingdom's system of government are replicated in many other countries. The monarch serves as head of state until his or her death or abdication. In the United Kingdom, members of Parliament in the House of Commons are elected for the duration of the Parliament. Following dissolution of the Parliament, a general election is held which consists of simultaneous elections for all seats. For most MPs this means that their terms of office are identical to the duration of the Parliament. An individual's term may be cut short by death or resignation. An MP elected in a by-election midway through a parliament, regardless of how long they have occupied the seat, is not exempt from facing re-election at the next general election. The Septennial Act 1715 provided that a parliament expired 7 years after it had been summoned. This maximum period was reduced to 5 years by the Parliament Act 1911. Prior to the Fixed Term Parliaments Act 2011, parliaments had no minimum duration. Parliaments could be dissolved early by the monarch at the Prime Minister's request. Early dissolutions occurred when the makeup of Parliament made forming government impossible, or, more commonly, when the incumbent government reasoned an early general election would improve their re-election chances. The Fixed Term Parliaments Act 2011 mandated that parliaments should last their full 5 years. Early dissolution is still possible but under much more limited circumstances. However, the government has pledged to repeal this act, because the government and Prime Minister are effectively indirectly elected through the Commons. The terms of parliaments and MPs do not directly apply to offices of government, though in practice these are affected by changes in Parliament. While, strictly speaking, a Prime Minister whose incumbency spans multiple parliaments only serves one unbroken term of office, some writers may refer to the different parliaments as separate terms. Hereditary peers in life. Peers retain membership of the House of Lords for life, though members can resign or be expelled. Lords spiritual hold membership of the House of Lords until the end of their time as bishops, though a senior bishop may be made a life peer upon the end of their bishopric. The devolved administrations in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland are variations on the system of government used at Westminster. The office of the leader of the devolved administrations has no numeric term limit imposed upon it. However, in the case of the Scottish Government and the Welsh Government there are fixed terms for which the legislatures can sit. This is imposed at 8 years. Elections may be held before this time but only if no administration can be formed, which has not happened yet. Officers of local government, other regional elected officials follow similar rules to the national officers discussed above, with persons elected to fixed terms of a few years. In the United States, the President of the United States is elected indirectly through the United States Electoral College to a 4-year term, with a term limit of 2 terms or a maximum of 10 years if the President acted as President for 2 years or less in a term where another was elected as President. Imposed by the 22nd Amendment to the United States Constitution, ratified in 1951. The Vice President also serves 4-year terms but without any term limit. U.S. representatives serve 2-year terms. U.S. senators serve 6-year terms. Federal judges have different terms in office. Indeed, Article 1 judges, such as those that sit on the United States Bankruptcy Courts, United States Tax Court, and United States Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces, and certain other federal courts and other forms of adjudicative bodies serve limited terms. The Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces for 15 years. Bankruptcy courts for 14. However, the majority of the federal judiciary, Article 3 judges, serve for life. The terms of office for officials in state governments varies according to the provisions of state constitutions and state law. The term for state governors is 4 years in all states but Vermont and New Hampshire. The Vermont and New Hampshire governors serve for 2 years. The National Conference of State Legislatures reported in January 2007 that among state legislatures, among territories of the United States, members of Council of the District of Columbia serve a 4-year term. As a former British territory following the Westminster system, there are many similarities with the United Kingdom.